In order to really understand what's happening in the job market right now, we also have to understand the history of labor in the US. The Clark-Fisher model suggests that there are three sectors of the economy, and as an economy becomes more developed and post-industrialized, they move more and more to the service industries. In the US, nearly 80% of jobs fall in that services category. And some of these fields are expected to grow significantly, like healthcare. And some of them are seeing significant declines, like administrative work. But if you look up here, there are so many areas that are expected to grow where we need more and more workers, things like installation, maintenance, and repair, transportation and material moving, food preparation, building grounds cleaning and maintenance. All of these fields, there are huge shortages within our workforce. 40, 50 years ago, as our economy was making this shift more and more into the services, it made sense to tell everyone you need to go to college, you need to get a degree, go and get a corporate or tech job. Now, those pipelines are overcrowded and people in those fields can't get jobs. And they've taken on a ton of debt in order to get into those fields, which means that they need the kind of compensation those jobs pay in order to make all that debt worth it. What that means is that these companies with corporate jobs have pushed up credentials. Jobs that used to be entry level now require a couple of years of experience. There's almost no entry point into corporate fields. Jobs that used to not require a degree now have degree requirements. At the same time, our vocational programs that used to produce plumbers and electricians and mechanics collapsed because they were not being funded in the 80s and 90s because they wanted everyone to go to college. And now, 30, 40 years later, all of the people who were in those fields are retiring and there is no one to replace them. And these are good jobs, y'all. They're jobs that can start off at 50, 60K a year. They're jobs that can work up to over a six-figure salary. A lot of them are union jobs, but people are not going into these fields. That's why we're seeing things like Meta launching this training program for people to build AI data centers. This is literally the kind of stuff that vocational programs used to offer. There's other dynamics here too. For example, there's a geographic misalignment because the majority of these high paying tech and corporate jobs that everyone went to college to access are located in some of the most expensive cities like San Francisco and New York. So lots of people went and got degrees expecting this kind of work, but their access is actually limited. This pattern isn't unique. As countries become wealthier, they move more and more towards services. The US just went really hard in that direction. And we did so while completely neglecting a lot of the industries that are critical for a society to run. We need people to build and maintain our roads. We need people to get the power back on. We need people to fix our cars. This was a huge miss in workforce planning at a state and federal level. And there are interesting contrasts with post-industrial countries that have not fallen in this trap, like Germany. Germany invested heavily in apprenticeships and vocational programs, and there's no shame. These are not seen as lesser career paths the way they can be in the US. The technical training path is seen as equivalent to a university path. And that's how they've built a strong, thriving middle class, and they don't see the same level of competition for the corporate jobs that we're seeing in the US. So if you're frustrated by all this, you should be. But the problem is it's not going to be a quick fix. It's not something as simple as like, oh, if AI goes away, the job market will be fine again. This is the result of decades of funding and federal policy that led us to a place where the skills of the workforce does not match the skills needed for our society to function.